Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're probably wondering where I've been for the last 5 months, and it's a hell of a story. Uh, Fallout is on indefinite hiatus because, for some odd reason, I should actually probably start from the beginning. So originally I was having a problem with Sim Settlements where anytime I entered a door that was attached to Sim Settlement architecture, the game would crash. Okay, cool. Well, I can just play around Sim Settlements and do the main storyline until they put out a mod or an update to the mod that fixes that, which they eventually did. Had its own problem because I had a Sim Settlements companion with me that would get killed because they were apparently not essential. And then everybody tried to kill me for killing them because of the bounty hunter thing from the Creation Club. So that wasn't ideal. And then on the 19th of January, my mom died. She was 89. She was suffering from an advanced cadence of dementia. And she had a stroke. And I had to go take care of that. So I spent most of the next 3 months out of town trying to get her estate in order because I'm the one in charge of that, because everyone else in my family that is listed as a beneficiary is an absolute reptile in a skin suit, and apparently I am the only person that isn't evil. I had to do that. And so that continued for a couple months, and then I finally got most of that wrapped up for the time being because it's an ongoing process, which I hate. And I started getting back, and I had to get caught up on work because I hadn't been working for a while. And then I was like, you know what? I haven't done Fallout for a while, and I should do Fallout. So I jumped onto Fallout, and it started to crash. It would load for about 3 seconds, and it would crash, and I don't know why. Until that gets fixed, which it's definitely on Fallout's end, because like I bought Space Marine 2. Played it, loved it, no problems running it. I got Helldivers too. I've been knee-deep in Helldivers for like the last month. No problems there. Nothing has been acting weird but Fallout. So I don't know what the problem is. It's not a mod, because it's not a matter of crashing when I'm playing the game. I start it, I get that couple of seconds of your special video, and it either crashes after a couple of seconds of that, or it's on the main menu and it crashes if I skip the video. So I don't know what the problem is. It'll get fixed. So instead, what I decided to do is I said, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do that Final Fantasy run that I've been talking about. But we're going to do it a little bit differently because we're going to use the most unoptimized class available, because the Pixel Remaster does things a little bit differently. So, we are going to have a warrior. Now, this is what would be considered the classic, easiest setup here. So, your warrior, of course, I remember him as being a fighter, your thief, your white mage, and your black mage. So, this gives you physical tank, DPS, support and healing, and a ton of support and direct damage to spells. But that's an easy way to do it. So we're going to keep the warrior, and we're going to keep the thief. But we're going to switch out our really good magical healing and support for a monk. And we're going to switch out our really good black mage with his support and black magic for a red mage. So the way it works is that when this game originally came out, half of the mechanics didn't work. You think Cyberpunk 2077 was a bad launch? The original Final Fantasy back in like 1987 was terrible, but you did not know that at the time because there was no way for you to know it. A lot of the mechanics didn't work, and I'll explain that once we actually get into the game itself, and we can actually look at their statistics, because most of it was the way different systems worked and how different codes worked. So in this case, for our warrior, we're going to call him Arthur. It'll make sense. For our thief, I don't really have a good name for a thief. Locke is the one that goes the most, and I'm still tempted to call that just because of the lies of Locke Lamora. So we're going to call him Lamora. I think it's 2 R's. I'm not bothering to check it. Okay, so we have our black belt / monk, because they changed the names of the classes. Like the warrior used to be called the fighter, the monk was called the black belt, and the master. I don't remember what the upgraded version of the monk is, but everything else is generally the same. So there can only be one name that we name our black belt. He is one of my favorite martial artists. And for the red mage, who is possibly the one who suffered the worst going from the original game where nothing worked to the Pixel Remastered where everything not only works but it's been tweaked. He definitely came across as the worst on this. We're going to name him Suck. Because he is, honest to God, the worst one. Okay, now that's... Oh, shit. I don't know what I did there. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, yes, we're going to go Suck. And done. That's what I needed. Okay. So they fixed up the translation on this a bit. The graphics have been improved in certain ways, but it still feels reminiscent of the old 8-bit style from the 80s and part of the 90s. Now, this is my favorite game of all time. I got it in 87, 88, whenever it was, when I first got a Nintendo when I was a little kid. It came with a map of the world, which was really cool. And on the other side, it had the bestiary that had all the monsters on it, which was also neat. It had a really thick game manual in it that ran you through the first chunk of the game, so you knew what you were supposed to be doing. And it was, they didn't have tutorials in game back then, so you had to do it the old-fashioned way. Nintendo Power had a full walkthrough, and it talked about all the things. But there was a certain problem. So half of your stats don't work in the original game. So the way it works is that half of your strength goes towards your weapon damage. So characters with higher strength obviously are going to hit harder. Okay, that's for your melee types. For your spellcasters, intelligence was supposed to add to your spellcasting damage or your healing effects. And I think it was the way it was. A spell works like, say, an ice spell does between 6 to 80 damage. So that's a roll, but it's plus like 25 or half or 25% of your intelligence. I'm not exactly sure what the math is. That didn't work. Luck, which was the thief's thing, and the only thing that the thief was actually supposed to be good for was supposed to help you get preemptive attacks or to run away from combat. Did not work at all. There we go. Okay, so real quick, we're going to go to status. So yeah, strength. Agility adds to your hit rate. Every 13 points of attack, which is your hit rate, you get an extra attack. Stamina is supposed to add to your hit points on level up. Luck didn't work at all. Yada, yada, yada. So, for the fighter, or the warrior now, he's got a lot of strength, he's got a lot of stamina, so he's got a lot of attack, he's got a lot of hit points, but he's massively vulnerable to status effects. Eventually you'll get equipment that fixes that. The thief, not a lot of strength, but he's got a lot of agility. He already starts off with 2 attacks. He's supposed to have really high luck, so he should be getting more preemptive attacks and stuff like that. But in the original version, this was the worst character because he couldn't do anything. He didn't have good stat growth for melee attacks. The intelligence adding to his spells once he gets to a certain point didn't matter. Then he has a really low intelligence anyway. And his one thing, being able to get preemptive attacks or run away, didn't work. So he was by far the worst. The black belt / monk is pretty good. He is actually a bit of a trap character because the game manual tells you that you want to equip him with some nunchucks. Nunchucks are bad for him. Matter of fact, if we remove his clothing, he just got better. And the staff seems like a good idea. It's the same thing as his bare-handed attacks, except he gets 2 attacks with just his hands, because he's hitting you with the lefts and the rights. And our poor red mage, who has suffered the most. So he doesn't get enough strength to make him good at melee without a lot of level investment. His intelligence growth is very slow. But now that intelligence adds to your spell casting, he does come in last place for those that can actually are primary spellcasters. You're right. Your red mage is going to do worse than your black mage at damage spells and worse at healing spells than the white mage. He's going to be better than the warrior and the thief, but not for very long. He's also neutered by the fact that his weapon and armor selections are very limited, because he can wear heavy armor and he can wield good weapons, but he doesn't get very many options at them. So he kind of falls behind at everything. So this is the least optimized class, or pardon me, group. Now, that being said, it's still a very good party, because the black belt, like, this would give him attack 12, but he would lose an extra. So his damage would go up, but his number of attacks would go down. Now, we're not going to give the monk anything. He doesn't get anything. He doesn't need anything. But you can solo this game if you grind up enough levels with any of the characters, including the red mage. So that's hardly a horrible thing. Yeah. I don't remember the monk being able to use armor, but either way, he's not getting any. So he's got a knife, now he's got a rapier. He's going to lose a little bit of accuracy, but he's still not at the 2 attack point, so that doesn't matter at all. His defense is going to go up to 15, so that is 15 damage that is 15 subtracted from every damage hit that's thrown his way. And we'll talk about how the multiple attacks work in a minute. But his evasion goes down. He doesn't care. He's got a lot of hit points. He just tanks the hit. He's good. Now, his attack's going up a little bit. His accuracy is going down a little bit, but it's still over 12, so he still gets that second attack. A little bit of defense. Doesn't lose a lot of evasion, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. You get nothing, and you like it. Is not going to get 2 attacks. Would if we kept the knife, but it doesn't really matter. So like I said, every 12 points of attack, you get an additional attack. It used to be called accuracy, and they changed it. So we want a cure spell. For now, we're probably going to get rid of that later. Protect isn't super useful. Can't learn Blink, can't learn Dia. Dia was basically a harm spell that was against undead, which is really nice. Probably going to regret not having it a point or 2. We need fire. There is one point where having sleep would be really good, but they kind of screwed up how sleep works. So you put an enemy to sleep, it just wakes up on its next turn, whereas before it was a roll, and maybe they didn't wake up at all until you hit them. So it's not as useful, so we're going to grab Thunder instead. So 1 healing spell and 2 attack spells. So the way the attack things works, like I said, every 12 points of attack, you get an additional attack. Which is really cool. So let's say that you do 10 damage per attack. That's between your strength, your weapon, whatnot. So you get 5 attacks, you're doing 50 damage. Against an enemy that has, say, 5 defense, that's cutting your damage in half, you're doing 25. Not super difficult. You're capped out at 8 attacks, with the exception of the black belt, or the monk, I should say, who, because he's using 2 hands, he caps out at 16. So he punches really good, but punching is the only thing that he can do. Seems pretty fair. Now, one of the things that they did was, because this game is technically a port of the Dawn of Souls Game Boy Advance version with... They went back to the old style graphics but cleaned up. So enemies have a lot more HP now. Bosses especially, like at the very end of the game, Chaos had like 2,000 HP. I think now he's got 10,000, which the game now goes to 99. Level 99 as opposed to 50, so I can kind of see it. But we also have all these new items that we didn't have. Like you didn't have Echo Grass or Eye Drops or Ethers or Remedies and stuff like that. You had potions, you had antidotes, you had tents and cottages and houses. You had a soft instead of a gold needle to get rid of petrification. And I think that was it. It wasn't super busy. Hold on a second. Alright, I forgot what we were talking about because that was about a 30-minute break in between things. But yeah, so there's a lot of extra stuff in this game. There are some good quality of lives like you can run now. That's kind of neat. I don't have it active all the time because I'm kind of clumsy. Alright, so right now, we've got a rapier and chainmail. So he's got decent attack, decent defense. Same here with the leather armor. Not as good, but... Now we're going to talk about a couple of things that the game does better and worse. So, a lot of enemies have weaknesses insofar as, you know, if a creature's vulnerable to fire, it's going to take a 50% more damage from fire attacks, which is really cool. I got some strength up on these guys. Luck is going to be the thief's primary thing. Got luck on the monk, which doesn't really do anything. No other stats, which sucks, but whatever. You know, if we have the extra money, we should probably think about maybe putting on getting some potions. So that didn't originally work. So weapons that did elemental damage didn't work. The elemental defense and weakness and whatnot thing just didn't work at all. So if you had armor that protected you from fire, you did not take less damage from fire. That got fixed in one of the ports. I know it got fixed in Dawn of Souls. But one thing that did get absolutely busted was the morale system. So the way it used to work is that every enemy has a morale. It usually starts about 100, and it's your level and how many of them you've killed takes away from it. So preemptive attack, that's thanks to the thief. Yeah, monk with 2 fists does it great. So it's really good, except they kind of broke that system now, so even at level 1, you'll have things running away from you. And things that shouldn't be running away, that's ridiculous. So that got kind of busted. Not a huge deal, but that's not great. They did fix everything else, though, which is kind of nice. Okay, there are 2 chests. One here that has a cap in it, which gives you an extra point of defense. And I think there's a potion up there. And I think we're going to go for him, and hopefully we don't get killed. Couple of crawls, or Gygus worms now, because they did rename a lot of the stuff. Now, pretty much everything in this game is taken directly from 2nd edition D&D. Like, they were not even shy about stealing it. They basically took the player's guide, the DM's guide, and the bestiary from 2nd edition D&D and said, we're going to turn this into a video game. How they did not get sued for copyright infringement, I have no idea. Especially considering at the time it was TSR. And, you know, you might say what you will about Wizards of the Coast being a little bit not letting you play with their toys without certain licensing. TSR would sue you because of state of the sun. You know, the sun's in a certain position, this guy, TSR is going to sue you for something, or send you a cease and desist. Somehow, Square got away with it. Oh, he's got 2 attacks now. That I did not expect, so... Actually, go to status. Okay, so the warrior is 1 point off of a second attack. He's getting close to 3. 2. And you got 13, so, yeah. It's 12 or 13. Okay, leather cap. We're going to probably give that to our frontline guy. Oh, and that does remind me of another thing that the Pixel Remaster broke. So, guy in the top slot is supposed to take 25% of all hits that come in. Second slot gets 25. These guys get 12.5. So, if one attack is going to go out, it's most likely going to go into the warrior, who's in the first slot. But, they kind of broke that. So now you can have an entire group of 9 bad guys, and the monster populations are much bigger now than they used to be. And they'll all go after Suck. And it's like, well, that's not very good. Let's sort this real quick. Okay, give you a potion, give you a potion, give you a potion. But even then, the game's still not very difficult. So, you might hear some growling in the background. That is because my lawn is getting cut by the guy that does that. He's got a hell of a racket. $30 to cut your grass. That dude does 10 houses in a day. He's making like $1,500. Or $300 rather, and in a week he's making like $1,500. Potion and a tent. That's good for us. And another preemptive strike. Thank you, Lamora. So we didn't run anything that poisoned us, and we didn't run anything that paralyzed us, which is good because the thief would get absolutely screwed. Oh, I spoke too soon. There's a werewolf. They do poison. And they've got a lot of HP, so this might be a problem. Yeah! Yeah, Lamora got poisoned. Or, Jet got poisoned. Shit. Okay, that's fun. I don't have any antidotes on me. And this is going to linger. Do I have anything? I don't. You know what? Honestly, though, it's not a big deal. What we're going to do is we're going to give him the potion. And then we'll just fight the battle and get popped back into town. If he dies, that's completely fine. So the whole plot at this point is that the King of Corneria said, hey, Garland, our greatest knight, has gone mad and he's kidnapped our princess. We sent a bunch of guys after him. He slaughtered them all because, again, greatest knight. And would you please go save my daughter, Princess Sarah? Which just got one of the greatest lines in the entirety of the Final Fantasy series. You idea who you're messing with? I, Garland, will knock you all down. It's been a meme for 40 years, before even memes were a thing. Okay, so our only option here is to hit him. So normally, I think he has 120 HP in the original game. I think he's got 240 here, so it's going to take a couple of rounds to beat him down. And we're going to save our last spell to heal in case we need to heal up Jet. Because right now, I'd like to try to keep everybody alive. Because he's got poison damage. Notice that he's gotten hit twice. That's a 12.5% chance. And it just keeps going. So let's cure him real quick. Oh, never mind, he's dead. Alright, cool. And everybody should hit level 4 off of this. Leveled up. Yeah, no. Are they 4 or 5? 5. Okay, wow. Yeah, you actually level up a lot faster in this than you did in the base game. Probably because the level cap's 99, not 50. So we got Jillian's stamina, so he should have his second attack now. He got stamina, so a little more HP. Stamina. So for the monk, your stamina goes into your stamina is, I want to say it's like half your your defense is half your stamina plus your level or something like that. It's a weird calculation. And he got intellect, but nothing else. That's fine. Okay. Come on. Come rescue me. I am Sarah, Princess Cornelia. Words cannot never be enough. Thank you. It's the first time anyone's ever defeated Garland. Please accompany me to Castle Cornelia, and you just time warp it. Which is neat, because now we don't have to walk around with our guy dying of poison. Obviously, he thanks you. There are rewards. We are truly the Warriors of Light from Lucan's prophecy. This is the part where they tell you what the prophecy is. When darkness veils the world, 4 Warriors of Light shall come. If they cannot gather the shards of light, that the darkness will consume all. The 4 crystals will never shine again. Now here there's a crystal that can be found on the continent to our north. Restoring light to the crystals is our only hope of ridding the world of the monsters which plague it. I will have the bridge to the north rebuilt as I promised. I pray that you succeed in restoring light to the 4 crystals and to the world. Yay. And Sarah will also give us the loot, whether we want her to or not. This loot's been entrusted to the princesses of Cornelia for many generations. When he abducted me, Garland took this loot as well. I want you to have it. It may aid you on your journey. Yeah, so he's still poisoned, and he's probably going to die before we get to the end. Maybe it's it. Oh, we got to do the cutscene for this. Is new. This was, I want to say this was in the PS1 port. Now this game has been ported to the PS1 multiple times. It was on the PSP, the Game Boy Advanced. I'm pretty sure you could probably play it on the Switch. You can also play this on like the PlayStation. Blah 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 blah. I used to have this on my smartphone. I've owned multiple versions of this game over the last 40-odd years. It is my favorite game of all time. And it's very basic. The graphics aren't hot. Most of the time when I played it, half the game didn't work as intended. Still my favorite game. Okay. Nice and easy. Let's see. He's got 5 HP left, so he is going to die before we get to the end. So 1, 2, 3. He's on 1 HP. Still. Oh, does it not kill you when you're walking around the... Oh, I didn't know that they changed that. Interesting. Now, this shouldn't clear the poison, but I want to test something now, since this doesn't usually come up very often. Oh, he's still poisoned. Okay, good. At least they didn't change that. But poison can't kill you anymore. That's interesting. It'll kill you in the battle screen, but it won't kill you on the map. That's an interesting thing. We're going to grab 2 of those, and we'll grab 4 more potions. And there's nothing else we really need. Ethers, I don't really like using them. I think it's kind of a cheat, because the game's easy enough as it is. Eye drops. Darkness actually does work now where it didn't before. Still not a big deal. Cure Silence. We only have 1 spellcaster at the moment. Don't need it. And we can't afford most of the stuff anyway. So, actually, you know what we're going to do? We're going to buy a 3rd antidote just to be on the safe side. And we're going to go hit the inn again. And this is something that has caused me a lot of problem with all of the Pixel remasters, is that you can save basically anywhere now. It used to be if you slept in an inn in Final Fantasy 1, it saved your game. It doesn't do that anymore. It does do autosaves at certain points, which is kind of interesting. But if you want to save the game, you have to use a tent or be on the field. So now I can save the game. Oop. quick save, just do a regular save. And we'll save over this one because I was just doing this to see if I could do it on my laptop, which I could. Okay, so we're level 5, which is neat. And we have a second cutscene. This one is from the actual original game. And I can't speed this up at all. And so the quest began. As the 4 warriors of light, they felt overwhelmed by the great task destiny had placed before them. They did not even know the true significance of the 4 crystals that they held in their hands. Originally, these were orbs. You touched them to the crystal, and they glowed. The crystals that once long ago held a light that shone so brilliantly. The time for their journey had come. The time to cast off the veil of darkness and bring the world once more into light. You know, back in the early 2000s when I was living in Japan, the Marines I was stationed with had a couple of guys that liked playing D&D. I liked playing D&D because I started doing it probably back in '89. And so I actually ran Final Fantasy I as the D&D campaign. Worked flawlessly. Really proud of myself. I do wish I could speed this up a little bit, though. And it is a little bit annoying that we have a cutscene for the building of the bridge, which was an addition, but they also still have the original cutscene for crossing the bridge. You don't need to, I don't think. Now, the one thing that the king told us is that there's a crystal to the north, which is why he built the bridge. He is, in fact, wrong. The first crystal is directly west of us, which I can't show you on the map, but you have to take my word for it there. There's another one in the southeast at the volcano, one to the northeast at the Mirage Tower, and another to the northwest in the Sunken Shrine. There is not actually a crystal north of us, unless they're talking about the wind crystal, but I don't know. Let's see if we can take this one on without getting beat up too bad. Yeah, nice and easy. Yeah. So you might notice that the red mage has the least amount of hit points of the party, which is not a big surprise. He actually winds up having less HP for most of the game than the white mage and the black mage, which have, at the time, the lowest growth for HP. So it's kind of funny. But, that being said, if you get everybody up to level 99, you're probably going to max out everyone anyway. See, that wolf tried to flee. It should not be trying to run away from us right now. And Lamora is getting chewed up. I may have to drop him down a slot so he takes less attacks. Matter of fact, let's do that. Let's put Lamora and Jet in different positions. What is Jet's defense right now? 6, so it went up. I used to know the formula behind how all this stuff works. I don't anymore. I only know a couple of them. But he is going to get 4 attacks because he's got over 12 attack. So that's 2, and then he's bare-fisted, so he's hitting with both hands, so he gets 4 attacks, which is nice. This is Matoya's cave. We just came here to rummage a little bit and steal some potions and an antidote. She had her crystal eye stolen, so the little crystal allows her to see. I can't see a blasted thing without my crystal eye. Now, this was something that you only found out if you actually spoke to her. You could come in here and not talk to her at all, but they changed it. And you can talk to the brooms. Yeah, so we got that. Let's see, how are we doing on health? We're going to use one of our potions. I'll use the tent if need be, but I don't think there's too much that's going to cause us a problem until we get to the next town of Provoca. Of course, these guys are going to be a problem. Once we get some area effect spells, like the second level of the elemental spells or some items that do that, we're just going to be sweeping through crowds. But he only did 2 hits. That's weird. He should be doing 4. Hmm. That is unusual. And he didn't get any stat raises. Good lord. You know, I want to try something here. I'm going to see if he still gets 2 with the staff. You're going to be doing a little bit less 2 points less damage, but that may not be a big deal. Oh, this is not a good fight for us. We are leaving. Normally I say fight it out. You're going to take less damage if you actually fight, but that's not a fight we can very easily win at this point, and I don't want to go through the trouble of having to go back to my last save. This is better. I can work with this. Okay, 2 hits, 2 hits. 1 hit. Okay. This is another thing that I thought was really cool. Can I? Oh, change equipment. Remove. Yeah. I do like that little quality of life thing where I can switch weapons. So it's like, hey, I have this weapon that's good against dragons. Alright, so I get extra 50% damage against dragons. That's awesome. I don't have it equipped because I very rarely run into dragons. Oh, I can switch it out now and actually get that damage boost. This is a good fight for us. Okay, 2 hits. He's only doing 2 hits. That's weird. He should be doing more than that. Nah, I'll just do the same thing all over again. Yeah, good amount of money, good amount of experience. Want to do one more fight, hopefully get that next level before we go in town. Not because I think this next fight is going to be really bad, but there's a lot of them, so... I just use up the fire spells. We're going to take a nap in the inn anyway. There we go. Nice, easy, and a level up. So that puts us to level 7. So some agility and stamina. More agility and some more intellect. Okay. Wait. Terrible on the HP. That's going to be a theme for a while now. Okay, these guys have been taken over by pirates. Beat all the pirates. The pirate captain will give us his ship. Which I am definitely a fan of. But we also have the option for some new equipment. Some of which is more useful than others, obviously. Okay, the hammer, it's not good. Unless you're a white mage, which is literally the only thing that they can use. The broadswords are good. The scimitar is good. The battle axe, it hits hard, but you're getting less accuracy, so you're less likely to hit, and you get less attacks. Now, did I ever equip that? I did. Okay, cool. Leather cap. You know what? I'm being dumb. So the way this game works is that new equipment is good, old equipment is not useful, so we should probably sell the old equipment. Because we don't need a staff, we don't need all these knives, we don't need these rapiers, and we don't need all these clothes. And that gives me enough for a scimitar for Lamora. Another thing that they changed, I can now equip that right here in the screen. So yeah, he's going to be getting... he's not going up in attack. I think he doesn't get another attack until 36 attack accuracy, but still, it's good. And we'll sell off the last rapier. There we go. Alright, let's go beat up some pirates. Okay, you got cannonballs of steel to be taking on the great pirate Vikey. Keelhaul them, boys! Alright, Captain. We'll make their bones go crunch. I love the pirates. This is literally just a hit them until they fall down. Oh, now he's getting 4 attacks. Okay. I don't know, maybe it was a defense thing. 3 attacks there, 2 attacks there. We are hitting like trucks. Easy peasy, not even an issue. Mwah, gotta love it. I be most sorry, young masters. I'll be making no more fuss, I swear. I want you to take me ship for your troubles. Can you find it in your heart to forgive an old pirate? And then he proceeds to not be important to the rest of the game. Now we got some money off of that, which is nice. So let's see what we can do about some armor upgrades for those that can actually benefit from them. Real quick hint, Red Mage, he's not going to be benefiting from much. Okay, iron armor for the fighter. And warrior, I'm going to keep doing that. There's shield for him. And gloves for everyone that gives a single point of absorb. Or defense is what they call it here. Which is... honestly, not a bad idea. So we're going to grab a shield. We'll grab... bam. Now, there will be better stuff when we get to the next town. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Like, his defense is the same with them or not. So it's like, it's not a big deal. But an extra point of defense is never a bad thing. Especially for those that do not have very good options for a while. So the Thief, he's going to be rocking the leather armor for quite a while. The Red Mage Suck, he's going to be rocking chainmail for quite a while. There are going to be options towards the midpoint that are going to be better for him. But that's not super useful. So this is where the game starts becoming a little bit interesting, because like I said, this is based off of 2nd edition D&D. Specifically, Waterdeep. Or not Waterdeep, Forgotten Realms. Because that's Waterdeep. And this is bad. It's not the worst fight, but it's a lot of HP to chop through. See if you actually get the bonus. He did not... even with his intelligence being what it is and elemental weaknesses working, he just doesn't do a lot of damage to the spells. Part of it's because it's a roll. But, so, this is specifically the Sword Coast. Or actually, I think it might be the Inner Sea. So you've got Cormyr, I think it's called. You've got Waterdeep, you've got Mithril Hall, which is where the dwarves are, and you've got Elfland, which is, I mean, pick a elven community from that area. It's very, very much the Forgotten Realms. Didn't do too bad on the stat boost there. Now, the cool thing is that now that we have a ship, we can go to the cheapest inn in town. Ooh, Kaizuku. These guys are worth money. Assuming they don't run away. And nobody dies. That he tried to run away. That's not allowed. Usually you wouldn't start seeing things like goblins and pirates running away until you hit like level 15. So we saw him start trying to do it at like level 2. So that, I don't know how they busted that system, but they completely busted that system. It's okay though. So our next step is actually going to be going to Mithril Hall, or as they call it, the Dwarf Kingdom. I'm not even positive, to be honest. And we're going to collect some money. And we're going to use that money when we get to Elfland. It all comes together. How are we doing on money right now? We have 1481. That's never a bad thing. Okay, I just need to head up north here a little bit. Sahagin, which are ripped directly from D&D, like I said. They did change the names of some of the monsters, but they also left some of them in, so I'm not really sure why they decided to change it. And more of these stupid wolves. You know, he probably should have run away. It would have been in his best interest. That was a crit. Another level up. Agility, stamina, intellect for the warrior. And it's not a big deal for him. Stamina for the monk, which is actually pretty useful. Luck. And a little bit of HP for the thief, and agility for the red mage. Okay. And we got an antidote out of it. I don't know how the wolves had an antidote, but hey, they had an antidote. Okay, this is specifically titled Mount Dwerger. This is a change. It wasn't called that before. And we steal their money. I think there's another chest. Actually, hold on, I can look. Nope, that's it. There's all this stuff down here, but we can't get to it yet. And there's also a dwarf here that wants dynamite, so he can blow open a canal so we can get to the rest of the world. Oh! Cobras. That's, kill them quickly, please. I don't want to get poisoned. Thank you, gentlemen. But yeah. This is not a game that involves a lot of thought. It's just fun. And it's a game that I have played hundreds of times. I could probably start doing solo runs for individual classes if it really came down to it. The hardest one would probably be the Red Mage initially, but even eventually, you get him up high enough level, you can use a weapon of mass destruction, so it's not really a big deal. Actually, I take that back. So there's a couple of points in this game that are pressure points, little choke points where you can't really, you're going to be dying a lot. One of them being, oh, a red Sahag ran. That's disappointing. So the magic casters have a innate magic defense. Everybody does, but it's kind of a hidden stat. The warrior has the worst of it. So, if you go into an area that has a lot of instant death, a lot of paralysis, a lot of sleep, a lot of poison, which the warrior is super susceptible to all of that, you're going to have a bad time. And it's going to require you to redo it a lot of times. You get very, very tilted, for lack of a better term. It's still doable, though. You just have to get lucky and you have to run away from a lot of stuff and hope that you can run away. Okay, what do we got here? Iron Nunchucks, which I'm actually tempted to get them this time around. Dagger, which would be for the Black Mage. The Crozier. 15, 16. And a Saber, which... Okay, so it's 13 attack, 5 accuracy versus... 10 and 10. He hits harder, he's less accurate. I don't think that's necessarily an upgrade. Alright, so if he loses... He's on his 3rd attack. So if he loses 5 accuracy, he'll go down to 27, which still gives him 3 attacks. So yeah, I don't know if that really makes that much of a difference. That being said, and the cost of it, we have the iron armor for him, which not a huge deal right now, but we do have copper armlets, which 4 defense, 1 weight. Oh, we don't have any wizards, so it's not really a big deal. Iron shields, a helm, leather caps. What are we gonna do? We're gonna get an iron armor, an iron shield. We'll get 1 cap because Arthur already has one, and we'll get a helm. So what we'll do here is hit optimize. There we go. And just sell off the old stuff. So chainmail, the leather shield that we just got, which I probably could have saved the money on that. But we do have some money left over, which is super useful, because I didn't buy any spells in Provoca. There's a couple of spells there that will be very useful that I will go back for, but we need a sweeping spell. Specifically, we need Fyra, and we need Thundara. That's going to be all our money for a while, but that's okay. We're going to grind it out and get the money back. Reason being is that we need spells that do area of effect so that we can sweep through some of these bigger groups. Like, this is a good example. We don't need to use it here, but let's just show what it does. $42 each, not bad, and then everybody else can just clean up afterwards. Now, wolves aren't vulnerable to anything in particular, and they're not worth a lot of money, but over here, this is where the ogres hang out. And they are worth a lot of money. I think we should be fine just to melee our way through this. There we go. How much money are they worth? 390 apiece with 390 experience. Nice boost in XP, good stats, good HP and luck. Terrible HP, but he got strength and more luck, and yeah. So. And that's going to be a thing for a while. But like I said, you get everybody up to level 99, which you don't need to beat this game. You can beat this game at level 40. It's all good. And then we're just going to sweep through here with fire. And go faster. And that saves us some time. And it's a good thing. We'll do one more before we call it a day. Oh, this is beautiful. Just do what you were doing. So now we're back up to 1,000. We can buy some more spells. We can buy some more healing potions. We are going to need 99 healing potions. And at least 50 antidotes for what we're going to be doing next. That's going to be a lot of money. We don't need the level 2 spells yet, but we will need them after the Marsh Cave. And you'll see why. Because, remember how I was talking about how Ice Cave was a choke point? Marsh Cave is kind of a choke point. It definitely was in the original game. What comes after Marsh Cave, on the other hand, that's definitely a choke point. And that's something we're going to tackle next episode. I'm just going to grind out some money off screen because I'm sure you guys don't want to watch that. I might actually, thinking about it, is... So one of the things that they included are boosts, so we can get extra money. I might crank that up a bit. I don't know. I don't want to get too over-leveled. I don't know yet. I'll think about it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. I will complete this because this isn't going to take long. This is going to be like 7 or 8 episodes, probably. And then we'll move on to Final Fantasy 2. And we'll do all the way up to Final Fantasy 7. I don't own 8, 9, and 10. I'm thinking about getting them just so I can do the full 10. In my opinion, the Final Fantasy series stops at 10. 11's an MMO, 14's an MMO. 14's actually really good. I do not like the mechanics for 12, 13, and going forth because they stop being turn-based RPGs. They start turning into action RPGs. And 13 in particular is just really atrocious. I was not a huge fan of it when it came out. I doubt my opinion on that has changed. But we'll at least do 1 through 7, potentially 8, 9, 10. I haven't played 9 or 10 since they came out, and I beat them back in around like 2000. And I think 8 came out in like 98 or something like that, 99. They're not bad games, but they're also not my favorites. And 8 is just... If you don't know what you're doing, that game is really, really frustrating. And once you do learn how it's supposed to work, you're really, really irritated at it. And I don't know why they did it the way they did it. But regardless, that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. Peace.